Tonight, we're diving into a 14-team, one-quarterback PPR mock draft with kickers and defense in play. This is going to be a true test of draft strategy. How early should you pull the trigger on defenses and kickers? Well, we have the Lindellions here to let you know. Let's get it. Welcome in to Mocking with the Stars here on Club Fantasy FFL. Your co-host, Chris Battistel, at FFChrisB over there on Twitter. And, of course, you can hit me up at FantasyJ77 on Twitter. Star of the night, baby. Chris, I know this is the last show for us with Mocking with the Stars for 2024. But, dude, we went out and hooked a big fish or a big cowgirl, we shall say.
Shooting star,
right?
Yeah.
Just finished up a couple big drafts. She was in the Queens Classic and the Circa WAF event out there in Vegas. She didn't, particularly attend the Vegas event. I think she was still hungover from the Queens Classic, but that is just rumor. She also has a pet spider. Did you know this, Chris? That she has a pet spider that she gave its own room to. Has his own room.
Spiders in my house got rooms too, man. I guess I can call them pets.
Yeah, a pet is strong. Pet might be as strong as Star is.
Oh, my Lord. The kicker guru herself. You can find her kicker rankings over there at MB Fantasy Life. And, of course, you can find her on Twitter at Lindellions. Welcome to Mocking with the Stars. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I told you before we got in here, I'm hot. This is like the one room I don't have a fan in. But I'm going to man up, draft a good team, and go out on top. I love mock drafts because you can't ever prove anything. You're just right. Like, if I like my team the best, who's to tell me it's wrong? It's my favorite.
Gator will tell you.
No, but we do have commenters that will jump in, like Vince, who is drafting with us tonight. Will give us Linda. It doesn't matter who you draft. You will probably get an A or an A plus. But if I were drafting, it's automatically a C minus at best. I could have Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Travis Etienne as my first three picks, and I would still get a C minus just because Vince loves me that much.
You're graded on a down curve, so it's probably pretty good.
That's kind of how I look at it. If I hit a C, C or C minus, I'm feeling pretty good about my draft at that point. Vince is just jealous, is the way I take it. I'm gonna go ahead we got 14 teams locked up in here. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this thing off. Hopefully the drafters will get into the room here shortly. Got a 1-minute clock, and then we're gonna talk about some stuff that happened over the last week or so since we've been back. Juju Schuster back with the Chiefs, Chris. I know you're all in on that. Jamar Chase returned to practice yesterday. Still no extension on the contract. Ayuk, crickets in San Francisco. And then the two big things for us is, CeeDee Lamb, 4 years, $135 million. Pretty nice payday for him.
Pretty nice. Yeah, pretty nice.
But probably the more important one that touches a little bit more with Linda is that Denver conversation. Tim Patrick hasn't played a game since 2021, and he finally got on the field. And now they want to trade him. Linda, what's your thoughts on Tim Patrick no longer being in
the we watched some Tim Patrick in Canton. So to see him on the field, and everybody's talking about fantasy. I got all the way back in. I was firmly out on every Denver Bronco offensive player. I was I don't believe in Bo Nix. I'm out. And then Bo Nix threw 2 passes and escaped once. And I was never mind. I'm all the way back in. I like the whole team. Give me every single player. But now it feels like maybe they were getting Tim Patrick out there to kind of show that he's back healthy. People aren't going to like it, but I'm still not touching Marvin Mims with a 10-foot pole. Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, Greg Dulcich, fine. And I think Bo Nix is going to be okay, but I have been excited about a Broncos quarterback before. A couple of them, several.
They've never broke your heart before, though.
Wrong.
Already.
The amount of Drew Lock I took in the 20th round this offseason would argue against that.
Well, tonight you took the fourth spot here in this particular 14-man draft. Is the fourth spot like where you like to draft from? Is that your favorite spot, or where is your favorite spot when it comes to the redraft?
I like to not be first because I don't want to have to make the decision. But anytime I can get CMC, Brees Hall, Bijan, I really like. I went through a phase with 0 running back, but I'm firm. Like right now, I just feel like the top of running back is like those 3 are so good that's the guy that I have on my team. So if I can get one of them, I'm thrilled. And 4 feels like a safe spot where like probably a top 1 or 2 wide receiver is going to go. For sure, CMC is going to go. And then hopefully I get Bijan or Brees, which I kind of switch back and forth on all offseason.
Yeah, like Chris, you took the 3 spot and you've been all over the board here. You're taking CD Lamb here. Just add to what Linda was saying there on why you jumped up so early in this one in particular in a 14-man.
I wanted to see what the back end of a 14 team draft would look like. What would kind of fall to me there? See what I could construct. I'm not in too many large leagues outside of 12-person drafts. I am a 132 team draft, but it gets a little dicey after like the 3rd round. So I want to kind of to see what would fall to me at the back. I knew at the top end, I was guaranteed, like Linda said, I was guaranteed one of these top end assets. But I really wanted to see what was going to fall to me at the back. I didn't expect CD Lamb at 3, but the guy I won is just Snoop Dogg high on Jalen Waddle that he had to have him.
Well, that's Shy. You never know what Shy is going to do. I mean, remember he did take Lad McConkey 1-1 in one of the rookie drafts this summer. So it's Shy, spicing it up a little bit. Linda, we asked everybody that has come on, everybody that's come on this off season, this one question here, and it's one that Chris came up with a couple, about 2 months ago. But what is like your must-have settings for a redraft league?
Man, obviously I want a kicker in my draft. And like my home league, every offseason we put stuff up to vote and decide what we're going to do. This year I finally got him to add a 3rd wide receiver. I want more roster spots. I want to have more spots. So we had 2 running back, 2 wide receiver. And like when you're drafting that and your bench is 4 to 5 players, I just feels like there's no like real like digging for a sleeper upside. Some people were not excited that we got a 3rd wide receiver added, but we voted on it and majority ruled. They also put kickers for vote this year, but they overwhelmingly voted to keep them in the league. So we're still very home league-y.
Yeah. I like the 3rd wide receiver. I like the larger starting rosters as well because gives you opportunity to win the weeks outside of the studs when you have those guys that you research going into the week that have the potential to either dominate in the slot against their position. So finding those weekly kind of diamonds in the rough that'll give you that edge is what I like as well, because everyone can start Hill and Ayuk and 2 stud running backs, a stud quarterback, a stud flex, and then a good defense and a great kicker. And then your variable in the scoring comes from the defense and the kicker. So when you add that extra roster spot, it gives you a little bit more variation to either lose or win your week. So yeah, I love that. Give me more roster spots.
The Queen's Classic that we drafted in Canton is 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 3 flex. Like it's and 14 teams. So you're starting guys every week. You're like, oh, just
not looking good, but Do you like your team? You like your team?
I do like that team. I like the way. The more I look at it, the more I like it. So I'll take it.
That's good. Right on. Where did you pick?
I had the 5th pick in that draft.
Okay, sweet.
And I think I started Brees Hall, Sam Laporta is how I think I started. And there's no premium, but with 14 teams, I wanted a good tight end. So
I get the premium spot. Yep.
So you drafted from the 5 there. You drafted from the 5 in the Queen's Classic. Where did you drive from the in Circa?
I had 11 in Circa. Don't like that team. Did not take an early tight end. And every draft that I've done so far this season where I didn't take a top 6 tight end, I'm like, oh, how did I get here? Like, it just does not feel justified when I look at my starting lineup to not have a rock star tight end.
Erica in the chat here. She's also drafting with us tonight from the 10 spot, but she said somebody took all the tight ends from y'all in the Queen's Classic. I have no idea who that would have been. I haven't. Well, actually, I know exactly who that was. That was
I have an inkling.
Kelly Singh, right there. But yeah, the Scamper says earlier. He says, "Well, Shy screwed up his second round pick by taking Jalen Waddle 1-1 here." It's you never know what's going to happen in these 14 team drafts here, but the first round goes like this. And Jalen Waddle leads us off. Chris McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Bijan Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then first quarterback off the board. Maybe a little bit surprising, Josh Allen this early.
Rich.
Is that a little too rich for you there, Linda?
Is it point rushing, 6-point passing touchdowns, both?
Okay, that would make a difference.
If it were 6-point both, then I'm generally not going to take a quarterback that early. But in a league where it's just a 4-point passing touchdown, then I think I can get behind it because I want a guy that's going to run in his touchdowns. I hate 14-team leagues.
I figured she was at some point she was going to end up saying that. You are on the clock right now.
It's wild how much quicker everything dries up in a 14-team league. You're like, how do we already get here?
Yeah. Well, we've done how many 12-teamers throughout the year, whether we've done Superflex or one quarterback. And Chris and I, we've seen this. Jahmyr Gibbs was going at the 12 there for a little bit. Then the injury happened, so he dropped back a little bit. But you ultimately only had the 3 running backs go in the first round, basically, and that's CMC, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, in whichever order. And then now you add in the 14 team, and now you're seeing an extra 2 more. And depending on your league, you may see as many as 3 more jump into there with Saquon Barkley. So yeah, I agree 100%. But the running back 7, running back 8, somewhere in that range is where it's like, how just super sticky. Dry right there. Yeah, get sticky icky, as you like to say. But Linda, you've watched a couple of these games with the new kickoff rule. How does that make you feel? Kicker guru and all, I understand, but when it comes to fantasy, how does the new kickoff rule come into play for fantasy?
It just doesn't feel like it matters that much yet. I don't feel like we've seen, and maybe it's because preseason and obviously like they're trying to stop injuries from happening. And if is the only thing that comes from this, if the only thing that happens is fantasy relevant guys don't get hurt, or anybody relevant, anybody that exists playing football doesn't get hurt running back kicks, then I'm all for it. But so far, it doesn't feel like it's made that much of a difference. I haven't watched every single play of every single preseason game, but golf is still on, so I haven't fully transitioned. But it just doesn't feel like it's made that much of a difference yet. Am I wrong?
Yeah, just some basic numbers on that. The yardage hasn't really made that much of a difference. The average return has gone up maybe 3 yards. The average field position has gone up 2 yards. But the return percentage is where the discrepancy is. This year, 72.5% of the returns. Last year, only 21.8%. So where that's going to benefit you is if your league has any kind of return yardage points.
Scott Fishbowl.
Right? If it doesn't, you're it's kind of moot at that point.
Do you think that is partly because it's preseason and these kick returners are trying to make team? Because I feel like it may
go ahead.
Even out a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that is a very, very high possibility because at the same time, you're not seeing the blocking schemes set up either. It's basically one-on-one blocking, so you're not really seeing like the different types of blocking that's going to happen on the kick returns.
Yeah,
I don't want
It's
to
going to be
draft next
interesting to see how it unfolds. Did I snipe you? I'm so sorry,
dude. I love DJ Moore. He's going so much earlier than I feel like he was. Like when we drafted Scott Fishbowl, I got him at like wide receiver 29, 30, something insane.
Nice.
Yeah, keep happening. And then ever since then, it's just been like.
Linda, I can go ahead and almost tell you there is one contributing person that has just talked him right up, and that is Josh Hudson. You might know him as the one Hudsonian who just doesn't do anything but talk up DJ Moore. It's insane. Looking at that first round there, outside of Josh Allen, anything surprise you, Chris?
Jalen Waddle.
Okay, it's.
No big surprise. Pretty chalky across the board. Nothing that I wouldn't really change outside of the bookend picks, but other than that, I don't really hate or dislike or find any of the picks really to be off base.
Linda, there's all the rookies have been named starters outside of J.J. McCarthy, of course, because he's injured. And then, of course, Drake May, that we don't know what's going on up there in New England.
And Michael Penix. Yet.
Okay. Anyway. We all expected Williams and Daniels to be named starter, but your Broncos go ahead and name Bo Nix starter there. We talked a little bit about Tim Patrick and a couple of other players. One player you didn't bring up, though, was Troy. Troy Franklin. Any interest with Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, even later in drafts?
I mean, listen, you can only put so much stock in coach speak. I understand that, and like reports coming out of camp, but putting zero stock in it, I think, is just as ineffective as going all in on what you hear. And so far, it just doesn't sound like Troy Franklin is ascending any depth charts or doing anything that's like super noteworthy in camp. I'm just not, and like it's not like I'm reading these reports daily because it's my team, and I'm sure I've missed stuff, but I just don't feel like fucking who knows what Sean Payton is going to do. Okay. Be over the Sean Payton experience.
I feel ya.
Well, Jordan Humphrey is going to be wide receiver 1. We should all will be better if we just accept that. But I'm not thrilled about Troy. I probably won't have any Troy Franklin, especially in redraft.
Well, Linda, Chris knows all about the Sean Payton experience being a Saints fan. So we will put you two in a room and let you guys get caught up on how this is actually going to work over the long haul.
I mean, I can set you up on how to deal with the PTSD of Sean Payton.
I don't know what I did to deserve this, honestly. It feels like 6 years of pure torture as a Broncos fan. Longer, probably. I've just blacked out some of it.
Just don't let him get a hold of your salary cap, all right? Make sure they don't let him get involved with any of that stuff.
I'm flying to Denver tomorrow.
As soon as the show's done, I'm on the road. Vince has a question in the chat. Says, "Is this not the year to punt tight ends?" I kind of feel like there's that second tier of tight end has actually gotten closer to this top tier of Andrews, Kelce, Laporta area. I think the second tier has actually gotten a little bit closer. How do you feel about the tight ends this year, Linda?
The 5 on the board, Kyle Pitts and Evan Ingram are I want to leave with one of those tight ends. And I know like we're doing Kyle Pitts again. And I know I didn't say George Kittle. If Ayuk is still in San Francisco, I worry George Kittle becomes a touchdown dependent tight end. And that makes him fall out. So if he's who I end up with, and we consider that like punting tight end, I don't think I do. But the 5 that just went before Kittle and Pitts and Ingram, I feel okay with. And then after that, every time I draft anybody else, I'm like, how did I end up here?
I like your Trey McBride pick, though. I just went ahead and got the stud out of the way. That onesie position, be done with it. Chris, you feeling the same way about the tight ends? I think you are.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. Outside of the top, maybe 7 guys, it gets a little murky with the ones that are behind him. Don't quite know what Dallas Goedert's going to be. Dalton Schultz just got Stephon Diggs thrown into his wide receiver room. TJ Hawkinson may or may not see the field. Who knows? Gerald Everett's beating out Cole Kmet. Pat Fryermuth's got Arthur Smith as his OC. Jake Ferguson, outside of maybe the top 6 to 7, is going to be the tight end that I'm going to want outside of the big boys. So it does get a little murky. There's going to be some guys, of course, that are going to come out halfway through the year and be viable fantasy options. But I'm probably reaching. It's always been my draft strategy to draft a high value tight end a little early. So I'm always good with reaching up for one of those guys.
Who's going up your board, Linda? Who's rising your draft board? And while you're there, go ahead and just talk about somebody that's dropping, maybe from earlier in the year to now.
Oh man. Well, we obviously just talked about DJ Moore, but I don't feel like he's rising up my draft board. I feel like he's rising up everybody's, and that sucks. I find myself drafting Moore and earlier so that I can get him. I have a lot of Polk, and very recently I've gotten on the Brian Thomas Jr. train. So he's somebody that I don't feel bad reaching for a little. I can't talk down on these. Keenan Allen, at first I was excited. I am less excited by the day. I feel like he could fall far enough that I'd be back in, but right now he's in such an ugly spot for me personally.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. He's still on the board here, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So where are you comfortable getting Keenan, in that sixth or late 5th, early 6th, or is it later than that you're comfortable?
Later than that. I mean, I think he would have to fall a full round below ADP before I even looked at him, really.
Yeah, and his ADP right now is 64, so that's what, that's early 6th round. So yeah, so you're looking at getting him in the 7th. Okay, that's fair. Chris, who's rising up your board here lately?
Ooh, I'm gonna say T. Higgins, man. T. Higgins has kind of been a guy that was dropped earlier in the year because of all the contract situation, the possibility that he might be shipped out of Cincinnati. But with the Jamar Chase contract talks kind of being up in the air, I'm fully expecting Jamar Chase to be ready for week 1. He is doing the hold in there with Cincinnati. But T. Higgins has been the guy for Joe Burrow throughout the preseason, throughout training camp, throughout practice and everything else. So T. Higgins is a guy that, even though he's potentially the wide receiver 2 for his respective NFL team, I got no problem going up and grabbing him. T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, all these guys, I got no problem taking a little bit earlier than their ADP. And then running back wise, he was picked in the 4th there, but Joe Mixon, man, the talk out of Houston of him being the every down back, catching the ball, carrying the ball out of the backfield. I want to try to get every piece of Joe Mixon that I can heading into the start of the year.
Did y'all see the news that it's going to hurt my feelings, that Dameon Pierce is likely going to be cut now because Cam Akers is taking over that RB2 position down there in Houston?
I did not hear that news, but we should not be surprised.
That Cam Akers is back? Are you drafting?
I think that's more surprising than the Dameon Pierce cut.
Yeah, no, not that Cam Akers is back. That Dameon Pierce is struggling.
I am not surprised. I am not surprised at all. Angie's in the chat, as well as Caesar. What's up? What's up? Appreciate y'all dropping in. Good time to give y'all give you all the information about our sister site's new partnership with Trophy Smack. Head over to trophysmack.com/WOFF. Start shopping for all your achievement-based wants and needs. You need draft boards for your drafts coming up this coming weekend. They have those. Championship belts for the winner. Yes, they have those. And, of course, they have the customizable rings ready for you, being delivered right to your door. I've got a couple rings myself. Ryan Weiss has that beautiful, beautiful belt. And I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but friend of the channel, Kara, works at Ruth Crisp. And did you see the belt that she got for her work league? It's got that juicy steak picture right on the. Yes. Go to Kara's Twitter page, and it's got the belt with a juicy steak right dead in the center of it. And she did that over there at trophysmack.com/WOFF. The link is also in the description of this program. So go check that out. And of course, everything that happens, any commissions that happen through the month of August, all get donated to Galvanized, the scholarship fund there with Laura Oakman that does the advancement. They do all the tools and advancement for women in sports media, which is a great, great cause. So make sure you head over to trophysmack.com/WOFF. All right, back to the draft here. I just want to look at your two teams individually here. CeeDee Lamb, Josh Jacobs, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, and then Jake Ferguson. For you, Chris, Linda went beat Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco, Trey McBride, Tank Dell, Chris Godwin. Real quick thoughts, Chris. I'll let you talk about Linda's team, and then Linda, please talk about Chris's team on what you like and what you don't like. Yeah, let's do that. Let's beat each other up now. Yes.
I like what you did, Linda. Very good job all the way around. Solid build. You picked every player that I wanted. That's why I couldn't pick them. But all the way around, good job. Great job. No, running backs solid. Breece Hall, Isaiah Pacheco. Of course, you got Trey McBride, poised to be a top 3, top 5 tight end. You might struggle a little bit with the wide receivers, but the top end of your draft is going to pick up that slack. So if you can get Tank Dell and Chris Godwin to give you 10 to 15 points a week, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, Linda, that's what I was going to ask you about. You know, you took the I don't know if you call it bully running back here, but you went running back heavy to start with, and it left you kind of open for the wide receiver. Do you feel like you should go back and change anything, or you like this right now?
No, I'm fine with it. I'm pretty much riding the vibe of it. But here's the thing. We just talked about how easy it is to take away the variance when we're starting just 2 wide receivers. So when you're adding those spots and those flex spots and those extra roster spots, it's because the wide receiver market, and I was talking about this in a group chat today. We were talking about how oversaturated the market feels right now. There are so many good wide receivers. Doesn't mean they're going to be great every week. I don't think Tank Dell is going to take the lid off every single week, but I think Tank Dell is going to put in enough work every other week. I'll take every 2 weeks. He can take a couple weeks off if he feels like it. And Chris Godwin, I just think that I think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both still going to eat just fine. I know they're both getting older, but I love to take young guys who are really good and then old dudes that are staples in their offenses. A lot of my teams end up that way. So I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it.
2 wide receivers that can see 5 for 60 in a given week. That's 10, 11 points, right? Just off their yardage, get a touchdown. And they're wide receiver 2s every week. So solid team.
Yeah, as a Buck fan, I'm buying into the move Chris Godwin back into the slot there.
Excuse me, sir. Your issue is showing.
Well, no. The issue is it hurts Kate Otten, in my opinion. Because
absolutely.
Chris Godwin's going to be that guy that's going to be running across the middle that Baker's actually going to depend on, and I think it's going to give Chris the opportunity to get more catches and get back into that back end wide receiver 2 role for fantasy.
Yeah, DJ Moore would be my wide receiver 1, but he wasn't there, so now I have a good tight end.
Linda, this is perfect. Then go ahead and talk about how bad Chris is beating you up over here, and how bad his team really truly is with CeeDee Lamb.
Honestly, I may never be able to come back on the show. It just feels rude to be your guest.
No.
No, I like that team. I am not as bullyish on Josh Jacobs, but they're that late in the draft shit. Or, it's not late in the draft; it's the back end of the second. But in terms of like running back, I think Josh Jacobs is fine for your RB1. But I just wish I had DJ Moore, and I'm pretty out on Jake Ferguson. That's more of an opinion piece than anything else. I don't have like cold hard facts for that one.
Yeah. It was just really like
wins because
the players that were left for me at the position.
No, my wide receiver one. Like on my team.
But don't worry. Vince is Australian, and he heard DJ Moore and wide receiver one, and automatically put it together that yes, DJ Moore is going to be wide receiver one. So if we were going to do a mock next week, I guarantee you Vince would jump into that one spot and draft DJ Moore 1-1 overall.
I love that. I love a commitment.
And he would blame it on you. He'd be like, "Well, Linda said."
I heard her last week.
I got a kicker question for you, Linda. Was it the Vikings kicker that kicked the 76-yarder in the preseason game? Did I see that right?
76-yarder?
Was that?
Boy, I don't know. I feel like I would have talked incessantly about that.
Maybe that was a college game. Maybe that was a college game I was watching.
Well,
I could have sworn I see a clip of a 76-yarder somewhere.
Well, within seconds of that, it may have been like pre like warm-ups, because they always like post those like 69-yard field goal, but it's not like real. I did just like a warm-up kick. Now wait a minute, because Brandon Aubrey kicked a 59 or 60-yard field goal, may have been more than 60, and they said it would have been good for 76, is I think what you're talking about. And I did talk about that pretty incessantly.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that was it.
That's still insane.
It's insane.
Okay. Vikings rookie kicker, 7 of 8 field goals. Sorry, 57 yards. Was that what you mentioned? 57 yards. 8 for 8 extra.
Yeah. Okay. That tracks. He did not start camp very well. Will Reichert did not have a very good start to camp. And I was like, and they drafted him. I mean, he was a drafted kicker, which is always, people hate it. People do not like it when you draft a kicker. Let me just tell you.
66 yards.
And 66 yards. So
that's a leg. That's a booming leg.
Yeah. He had a year in college where he didn't miss a single kick, and it was like 2 years ago, and people then were like, "Where's he at in your rankings?" I was like, "He's not. He's not." Give it a couple years.
Yeah. Because all your team's got to do is just they don't even got to get to the half field. They don't even got to get to the 50, and it's points, because he was the first kicker picked too, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
In the draft.
Yeah.
Man,
out of Alabama.
These guys now. Justin Tucker just ruined everybody.
Yeah, that's
the thing about it is you have to be able to kick it. You have to be able to hit it from 50 yards. Like
before it was like 35. You had to make the 35. Yeah. Now it's like you have to make 50.
Used to a 52-yard field goal would send everybody over the fuck. They'd be like, "Did you see that? Incredible!"
Water cooler talk the next day.
Yeah, now they're like, "This motherfucker can't hit a 54-yard field goal." You're like, "Whoa, that's a long way."
Get him out of here.
Or you get the they can get the distance, but it's either wide right or wide left, and
just a bit outside.
Just a bit outside.
Did you see the Canadian Football League, where if they miss the field goal but it gets the distance, they still get 1 point? I was like, what the fuck?
So basically, it's not going to go across the inline.
Yeah.
But the end zones
I
in
think
the
I could probably
CFL
do
are
that.
massive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. Well, there is a kicker that I do want to talk about, and I don't know how far down you have him now, Linda, but I do remember back early in the summer you had made mention that, and I can't remember the kicker's name right now, that was with Detroit, and I believe it was right before the draft or right after the draft. You were like, he won't even be on the team when it comes to week one. And I thought that was kind of a bold take. And then, like, I don't know if it was that same week or if it was just a couple weeks later when Jake Bates did what he did with the long kicks in the UFL. And from that point on, you had me hooked on Jake Bates. And then, of course, Jake Bates signs in Detroit. And it was like, oh, my Lord. He's going to be able to kick for 14 regular season games inside. And we can see, like you just said, Chris, they get to the 50 and they may not go for it on fourth down because of Jake Bates. How high is Jake Bates in your rankings?
I think because, like, okay, the first thing to understand about season-long rankings when I do, there's like my opinion is completely removed. I do total wins from Vegas. I do strength of schedule from Sharp Football Analysis. I do dome games and field goal percentage from the previous year. So, like, I completely remove my personal opinion from these, which is why Harrison Butker is my kicker one. And, like, in an ideal world, he'd be last, but I can't do that. So he's first. But Jake Bates came out, I think, right at 12.
Okay.
Obviously, I couldn't use the previous NFL field goal percentage, so I think I used his 2023 or UFL record, but or percentage. But I think people are concerned about Dan Campbell going for it on fourth downs, but he's never had a kicker that can consistently kick it from 50 yards. I mean, genuinely, he's gone back and forth between Riley Patterson and Michael Badgley. And Badgley is currently on IR, and Riley Patterson is not on a team and has been beat. Like, he's been released from like 3 teams this offseason. So Dan Campbell's never had a kicker that can do what Jake Bates does. And I think that's going to make a difference in their offense and special team decisions. And obviously, if I'm wrong, I'll pivot early. Like, I'm not going to like wait it out. I think that's the most important thing with kicker, tight end, defense. If you're waiting till the end to take somebody, if it's not working after 2 weeks, move on. You didn't spend any money on it. Don't get caught in your sunk cost fallacy. Like, it's over. It's not going to happen. But that he's going to change the way that Dan Campbell plays offense.
B. Badgley.
Oh. You don't do that to me, Stanford.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, so I guess leading right to the next question then, 14-man league. Of course, we're only going 14 rounds tonight, but at what point are you sitting there going, okay, let me go ahead and you have Buckner as your kicker one. Where are you looking to grab that first kicker when it comes to a setup like this?
All the way till the end.
Okay, so you were still on the same wave of it. I'm waiting till the last minute.
Yeah. I am rarely going to take, maybe in Scott Fishbowl because it's fun, and there's like a little bit of a bump because extra points are 3 points instead of 1. But in a regular smegular redraft, I just wait till the end. I know people are like, draft a guy, wait and see if he works out, and then drop him right before the season starts. But like, my leagues don't draft until this weekend and next weekend, or last weekend and this coming weekend. So I'm not. What am I going to learn in a week that like drastically changes my lineup? So I'll just draft a guy at the end.
Chris, where are you drafting kickers?
Yeah, same concept. I'm gonna push it to the end, last 2 rounds. If there's a guy that I like, maybe more than a wide receiver 3 that's on the board, I got no problem going up and grabbing one of these guys late, man. So, yeah, I'm gonna save it. You just sniped me. You got me back.
And the show's over.
And the show is
over. I can't believe I autoed my last 2 picks, though. So disappointing. But
I mean,
yeah.
autoing Raheem Mostert and Jordan Love is not the worst thing in the world. It could have been way worse. I've done that.
I plan on going Pollard and then probably another wide receiver, but it is what it is.
I'm assuming, Linda, you are the same with defenses, right? We're waiting to the end.
Yeah, I'm not good at streaming defenses either. The one position I look up every week, like, somebody tell me what to do. I'm so bad at team defense. So I just rely on other people, which I think is an important fantasy football skill.
Just take the team that faces Bo Nix this year.
Hey, come on.
And we're back.
I kid. That's for the snipe, all right? That's for the snipe.
Good Lord. Paraguay has a favorite pick at the 103 in a 2 QB draft. And I'm assuming this being a 2 QB, as you put it, not super flex, you have to start 2 quarterbacks. So for me, I'm just going to start if it's got to be a quarterback.
Yeah, for me as well.
Do you have any preference on order of your top 3 quarterbacks?
If it's 4-point passing TD, I'm probably going to go Allen, Hurts, Lamar, kind of in that order, then Patrick Mahomes. If it's a 6-point passing TD, I'm going to move Mahomes above 2 of those guys, and it'll be Allen and Mahomes for my top 2, and then 3, you're taking one of Lamar or Jalen Hurts. So you're going to get a good quarterback at the 103. So either one that you'd settle with is going to be solid for you.
Linda, anything with that?
Now you're sniping what I'm going to say too. It's fine.
We're on the same wavelength. That's a good thing, Linda.
You're right.
See, I knew this was going to be coming up, Chris. This is for you. You've now subscribed to my way of drafting and just going auto. And Vince,
I'm sorry, Vince.
Spot on. He comes back and he says, Superflex actually is, 4-point passing. So you're looking at somebody like probably, as you said, Allen.
Yeah. Even in Superflex, I'm still taking a QB in the top 3.
All right, so hopefully that gets you that top end quarterback right there. Looking at the draft a little bit, I'm trying to find anybody that is standing out here outside of Josh Allen going so early. Quarterbacks seem to be going here in this 4th, 5th round, and then picking up a little bit more as we go through. Neither of you went quarterback. I mean, taking the Jordan Love because it was an auto pick. What was that?
I'm not having a good time anymore.
No, is Chris doing? Golly, Chris, you're supposed to be nice to the guests. What are you doing? This is ridiculous.
That one felt super on purpose, but it's fine.
Well, it was.
Fine. Chuba Hubbard, you knew it. You knew you did it. Bullshit.
As soon as he did it, Linda, he started laughing.
Yeah,
right away.
You know what his problem is? Linda? He's north of that border. He's up in Canada. They don't care about us Americans.
I've heard the opposite about Canadians. I thought you guys were supposed to be nice.
No,
people are lying.
Asshole.
It's a smoke screen.
Exactly. Just walk around with our boots and no do to boot it. Yeah,
no
nice. To boot it. Till we draft beside you.
Well, neither one of you have gone quarterback here outside of the auto pick of Jordan Love. And okay, let me do this. Linda, you get to answer first. Don't let Chris step on your toes and give you the same answer here this time. Where are you looking at for your quarterback? Are you still going to hold off and wait, or how are you looking at it?
I would have probably already taken one in a not mock draft. In a like real life draft, I probably would have already panicked about it. But since Goff and Purdy are gone and they're kind of my late round guys, like those are usually the guys I'm targeting. If I don't get Josh Allen's, Lamar Jackson, I like Goff. I think they both have good offenses. They're going to score touchdowns. That being said, I think Herbert's going a little lower. Now he'll definitely go, but I think Herbert's going a lot lower than, like, I know they're going to run, and I know that there are questions about his offensive weapons. But fucking Justin Herbert, I just think he's going a little later than I would personally have him in rankings. So we'll see what happens when it gets back to me. But I'll probably just keep pushing it down the board at this point.
Yeah, say
Zero
you keep
QB. It's the new hip thing.
Yeah, you
Everybody's doing it.
every player you bring up, somebody either drafts right before you or Chris snags or Chris snipes you. It's just brutal. Chris, what are you thinking about quarterback here?
If I didn't take Jordan Love there, I probably would have picked it. Of course, I would have picked a different player. But I love the value that Linda said on Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Matt Stafford as a late option. If you push the position down, Matt Stafford's got a healthy room now that Puka Nakua's back on the field. So having Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, and the offense that they're going to run in Los Angeles, I love the value that I've been able to get on Stafford. Even if I, maybe reach up a little bit for one of the higher end but more volatile quarterbacks, like maybe a Jaden Daniels or Anthony Richardson or a Tua, being able to pair one of those guys up with a little later in my draft, way later in my draft, with a quarterback like Matt Stafford to kind of give me some insurance with these players that might miss some time in the season. I love the value. I love the value of Stafford, man.
That
Stafford
seems to be
presence.
That seems to be like one of the perfect pairings, or at least what for the most part, what I've seen a ton of, and that's like a Jaden Daniels, Matthew Stafford, a Anthony Richardson, Matthew Stafford, or Jaden Daniels, Kirk Cousins type of quarterback room.
Yeah, great insurance.
Why is that a good quarterback room? I mean, you got get the upside with the rushing with A Rich or Daniels, but why
it's for me, like, you don't really want to roster two quarterbacks in a one quarterback league, but it's just the insurance for those. Like, I'm not going to pair up Matthew Stafford if I have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes on my team. I'm going to bypass the QB2. If I have, like I mentioned, one of these volatile guys like an Anthony Richardson, who missed time in almost every game he played last year, these high volume rushing quarterbacks that have a better opportunity to get hurt, I don't want to get stuck picking up his backup off the waivers, or picking up Will Levis off waivers, or having to start maybe even Taysom Hill at that point at my quarterback position. So if I'm going to take one of these guys that have a high opportunity to get injured, I want that good insurance plan at the back end of my draft, man.
I can't believe you're
last year I had to start Jaron Hall in a league, so it's a good strategy, but I still won't take a second quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the greatest strategy, but like when you got to start, like you mentioned, Jaron Hall, Josh Dobbs, or even Gardner Minshew, what good is picking the wide receiver 4, the wide receiver 3, or your tight end 2 on your fantasy team, just sit at the end of your bench when you can have a high output fantasy producing quarterback as an insurance plan there. So it's the game you have to play. You got to make a choice at that point, right? Do you want to take that little value at a positional player later in your drafts, or do you want to take, a good value quarterback there?
I like it. I like the philosophy there. You are on the clock, sir, so I'm going to let this wrap up. And
tried to get me. I get it.
Yeah. Another draft, one keeper. Would you keep CMC or CD this year, Linda?
Keep C.
CMC for you.
Yeah.
Chris, you the same?
Yeah. If there's no parameters around like picks that you got to give up based on where you drafted these guys, I'm going to lean CMC as well.
So let me ask it this way, because I just had this question asked to me the other day. I don't remember who they had in the first round, but let's say CMC first round, you lose your first round pick. CD, you lose your second round pick. I'm taking CD there.
Yeah, I think I'll take CD there and keep the first, and hopefully get one of the other
Linda's
running backs.
Waffling this, but she's like,
I think I don't know. I think CMC is the best fantasy football player in all of fantasy football. So I'm probably still keeping CMC.
My concern with CMC is it wasn't that long ago where he had 280 touches out of the backfield, and then he missed 10 games of the next year, 11 games the next year, and then 10 games the following year. This is the first time. Last year was the first time he's had that many touches since then. And I have a gut feeling that Shanahan is smart enough to go, hey, let's hold back a little bit. We don't have to play him every single down, every single snap, and save him for the playoff run, for the Super Bowl run. That would be my only concern. But listen, you can't play fantasy football that way, right?
My other concern, and you're right, like you can't predict injuries, but I understand what you're saying. A bigger concern is if their left tackle holds out for any significant amount of time.
Yeah.
If Trent Williams doesn't play, the 49ers look like an entirely different team, in my opinion. Because people always talk, like last year, people were like, oh, the 49ers offensive line is good. Like, no, it's not. Trent Williams is elite. And then it's pretty average across the board. So I think that would be a concern for and on the topic of like maybe resting CMC a little bit, Jordan Mason is going so late in drafts and he runs so mean. I don't like all I've done over the last 2 weeks has gone, I don't think I took enough Jordan Mason late in drafts this year. And that stinks. That's a tough realization to come to when it's a week away from season starting.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at my exposure for best ball, but I guarantee you that Jordan Mason is probably less than 3%. And that's not good. You're absolutely
free. He's free.
Yeah, unfortunately in best ball that we don't have waivers, we don't have any of that kind of go pick them up or anything like that. So I'm kind of stuck without him. So I've got to do a couple more best balls just to get that exposure up a little bit more.
Look, a couple more.
That's how they get you.
That's it. That's why exposure was infinite. Thank you. Pay the man. Oh my Lord. Coming down to it here, we got the last 3 rounds going. Not necessarily players that you're looking at in these 3 rounds, but what are some of your late round targets that you look at? Like we were just talking about Jordan Mason there, late round targets that you're not going to be starting, but somebody that you're going to hold on to, knowing that there is that possibility that they could have a role for fantasy. And of course, we're going to start with Linda. We won't let Chris take your guy.
I have a lot of I'm sure I'm going to say this wrong, so just bear with me. But is it Vidal or Vidal from in Los Angeles, the running back?
Come on, Vidal.
Work with me.
Come on, Vidal.
I think it's Vidal.
Thank you. Well, both of you said something different, so none of us know. And that's a guy that I have a lot of super late. Also, Gray and Tracy in New York. I kind of go back and forth on them late in drafts because I feel like there's a potential handcuff situation there. And I'm not obvious. I feel like so many of my late round guys are New York Giants, which is it's bold to decide that I'm going to be in on the New York Giants offense. But this is where, and sometimes you just have to accept it. Like I have a ton of Wan'Dale Robinson, a ton, because I think he is going to be the wide receiver 1 there for a couple weeks. I'm not saying the entire season, but I think he has upside. And again, he's going so late. It just feels, fuck it, let's take a kicker.
I love the Tracy one. You think Wan'Dale is going to be wide receiver 1 there? You said for a couple weeks, but even over Malik.
Like to start the season. I just mean I think that there are going to be weeks where Malik Neighbors is the wide receiver 1, and there are going to be weeks where Wan'Dale Robinson is the wide receiver 1. And I think Malik Neighbors is better. I love Malik Neighbors. I'm not drafting as high as he's going in leagues. I feel like his ADP is a little steep for me when you're catching Paul Jones. But like Robinson's going so late in drafts. These dudes that go late and are the second target on their team who are going to have boom weeks, I love to have that on my bench. And now he'll never go off when I start him. He'll only have good weeks on my bench, but by God, he'll be on my team. So it'll be like a moral victory. The worst kind of victory.
Linda, I don't know if you'll like this or not, but Vince, of course, throwing out the old man CMC scares him. Draft should go Bijan 1-1, Dennison Oliver Moore Jr. 1-2, Colin Johnson 1-3, Trey McBride, a bunch of tight ends and receivers, and then CMC. I only brought that up because I know he's joking, but going back to the DJ Moore at the 1-2, now he's throwing Breece Hall in front. So interesting take there by Vince. Chris, who's some of the deeper guys that you're looking at? Come on,
back end of drafts. Braylon Allen, I was hoping to pick here in the 12th, the backup to Breece Hall. If Breece Hall does miss any kind of time, Braylon Allen's going to be the guy for the New York Jets. So he was taken from the grasp of my hands by Erica. Thank you, Erica.
That's what you get.
Not Luke McCaffrey.
Good job, babe.
Another guy. No, not good job, Linda. Not good job at all. She's supposed to be my friend.
Well, everything's friends until you draft, and then you're no friends no more.
Yeah, no more friends. Pop Douglas, man. One of my favorite targets in drafts. They're talking about him being the wide receiver 1 for the New England Patriots this year. So anytime I have the opportunity to get a team's first option this late in the draft, I'm going to take it. So Pop Douglas for me is a player that I'm always going to try to leave drafts with.
Yeah, I'm in on Pop Douglas. I'm in on Luke McCaffrey. I wanted to go back to the Kamani Vidal. With that running back room there, and I've heard multiple times, haven't seen anything, but just heard that there is that possibility that he's going to get cut. Linda, that doesn't worry you at all?
No. I mean, obviously, when the report came out, your initial thought is like, shit, this dude that I drafted at the end of every draft isn't even going to make the team. But I think pretty quickly that got kind of rebuffed, and we saw him play in the preseason, and he looked really good. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards have both had injuries. We know that they're going to run the ball in LA. So for me, it's just a safety net. If by week 8, or, I probably wouldn't, if by week 5, 6, we haven't seen anything from him, then these are guys, this is what I'm talking about. I do not care about cutting costs at the end of my draft. If I took a guy and it is not working out, I will sprint to the waiver wire. I got no problem admitting I was wrong about a dude nobody heard about 4 weeks. So right now I like him because I think that if that offense needs him, he'll thrive in it. But like I said, if we haven't seen anything by the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, then I got no problem moving on to somebody that we've seen something from. But I think he's going to make the 53-man roster.
I think he does as well. Chris, I know you're coming up on the clock here as well as Linda here, but I'll go to this with you. Somebody that hasn't been drafted, that probably wouldn't be drafted. So when you're looking at the first week of the waiver wire, and I know we've got 12 days plus now until the NFL actually kicks off for week 1. But who is somebody you're keeping an eye on, or maybe it's a position that you're keeping an eye on when it comes to week 1 earlier in the year?
The tight end room for the Washington Commanders, to see who's going to be the guy to go to there. Is it going to be Zach Ertz or Ben Sinnott? And then Jermaine Burton, what's his role going to be on Cincinnati during the regular season? We saw during the preseason, he was involved in everything that they wanted to do. If and when Jamar Chase comes back, what role does he take in that offense? And is he a viable fantasy asset throughout the year? So pretty much Washington Commanders tight end room and Jermaine Burton.
Is there anybody that you're keeping an eye on, Linda, for the the first waiver wire, or a room that you're keeping an eye on for the first waiver wire run?
Well, I mean, obviously it depends on, like, in Scott Fishbowl, I think, and this is obviously hyper specific, but we have the returners, and I think everybody they thought would be returning the ball, but I don't think any of us actually know who's going to be kick returning. So I think
Anthony
that
Gold,
those
baby.
early waiver wires and Scott Fish are gonna be bananas. But
Yeah.
just tight ends in general, on the leagues that I didn't take one early, even if I drafted Benson at I have some Chig, I have, all these guys that could be the second or third target on their team. Obviously, your goal is to get a second target tight end, but that is the position that I'm always going to be paying attention to when the season starts. Is like, is there somebody out there just on the field a lot? Is it like the backup tight ends in Kansas City who are just on the field but aren't actually attributing anything? So that's always where I'm focusing my waiver wire brains at. All of it goes to tight ends.
Yeah, I got 3 returners, Linda, that you're going to want to target if they're not already rostered. According to preseason stats so far, these are the 3 guys that I've been tracking.
Wait, Chris,
I'm going to be making claims for.
Maybe we should put that in the private chat and just keep this conversation.
I got 3.
I can run to Scott.
Anthony Gold on Indianapolis. He's probably already rostered. He's got nearly 300 return yards already. He's the primary return man for the Colts. David Wallace from the Patriots. He's nearly got 300 return yards as well. And the guy from, where is he here? Malik Washington from Miami. He's the main kick returner, and he's already got 10 punt returns. So he's going to be returning both sides of special teams. So 3 guys you're going to want to roster on your Scott Fishbowl teams.
I like it. I like it.
Should I drop Kyle Pitts for one of them, or
maybe, possibly not?
Don't do that. Don't do that. I heard this same thing, Vince, that I don't remember what coach it was, or it wasn't even a coach. I want to say it was the beat reporter that said Burton was closer to wide receiver 6 than he was wide receiver 3 on his own team, with Yoshivas being the wide receiver 3 currently. He also says Javon Baker could be a league winner, and then Jalen Tolbert could be a good sleeper.
Yep.
Interesting.
Same with Jalen Naylor from the Vikings. If Addison misses any kind of time, or Justin Jefferson misses any kind of time, Naylor's going to be a guy that you're going to want to add.
Awesome. All right,
anytime you can add a guy catching passes from Sam Darnold, you got to do it.
You want to make sure you make him a priority.
Make it a priority. Jesus. So
perfect.
I'm glad Linda actually showed up tonight and hung out to talk Sam Darnold with us, because nobody else can do that. Nobody.
Hot topic, baby. Hot topic.
Oh my Lord! Don't forget to check out.
Might as well be us.
Check out the rest of the shows here on Club Fantasy. Tomorrow night we have Masterclass. It is one of the best ball shows. Special time at 9:30. We're doing the FFPC 125 tournament tomorrow. Wednesday night is the Women of Fantasy Football podcast at 7, and they're also giving away a couple jerseys. If you haven't already purchased your raffle tickets, go ahead and go do that right now. Jalen Hurts, and then a Kelly Green, Jason Kelce signed jersey as well.
Sweet jersey. 9
p.m. on Wednesdays, no pun intended. Thursday, trade block at 8 p.m. Mock Girl Summer at 10. Then on Friday, we have Mock It Like It's Hot at 8 p.m. Saturday morning, Summer School at the other best ball show at 11. And then Sunday, the Dynasty After Party at 11 as well. Big thank you to all the viewers and listeners tonight. Chris, let the people know what you got going on, where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at FFChrisB on X. Thank you, Linda, for joining us on our last edition of Mocking with the Stars. Every Monday night, 9 p.m., 1 foot down, college fantasy football show with Fantasy and Frames. And I believe, I don't know if I can say anything yet, but we're cooking up a little something behind the scenes here at Club Fantasy. Possibly they are going to let me keep my key card. So big things are going on.
Yeah, so I'm doing the sheet and making sure I have all the shows in there. And, of course, our show, this is our last show. So yes, I just highlighted it so I don't bring it up, because we're not going to be here next week. It seems like every single day Josh is texting me, hey, new show here, new show. It's like we already run like 3 shows a day, it seems like, and now we're going to add more. Okay, cool. So, yes,
Sure
I
thing,
think
boss.
big things cooking in the background there, Chris. Absolutely. Linda, I greatly appreciate it. Like Chris said, for you joining us, let our viewers and listeners know where they can find you and what you've got going on.
You can find me at Lindellions on Twitter. I'm pretty obnoxious there, so if you just want content, you can find my kicker rankings on fantasylife.com. I update them week to week, but season longs came out today, and there was a little article I posted on Twitter, the Fantasy Life page on their Twitter. So again, if you don't want to see my Oklahoma State tweets or my kicker hype or when I tweet about my cat, that's fine. Everything else you can find on Fantasy Life. And thank you guys for having me. Very impressive to run a mock draft and host a show at the same time. Kudos to you. That was
that's why I don't usually mock while I'm hosting. That way Chris gets to take all the heat, whether he's sniping or making bad picks. I'm not the one getting blamed for auto picks or anything like that. I let Chris take all the heat because Vince will do that.
You bring that out at the end, last episode.
I mean, it's the last episode. Right? I'm not going to hide it now. No, I will second that, Linda. Everything that you put out there is absolutely hilarious, especially the stuff about the cat. So yes, go follow Linda over there because that's awesome stuff. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed to Club Fantasy FFL, go ahead and fix that right now. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button, let you know when we go live every single show. And we have all of our written stuff over at clubfantasyffl.com as well. Greatly appreciate everybody that joined us tonight, mocked with us, chatted with us, talked bad about us behind our backs or in front of us. It's either way. We take it. We like it. Until I want to say next week, but until next year, y'all have a great night.